start by saying good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Burning Eczema Questions. My name is Melanie Funk. I'm the Managing Director of Eczema Support Australia, and I'm really delighted to have you all here tonight. So before we begin, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of our land on which we meet. I'm actually joining you tonight from the land of the Yunganbar language people here on the Gold Coast, and I pay my respects to elders past and present, and also like to pay my respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. I'd also like to acknowledge the Quality Use of Medicines Alliance, which is a consortium of 8 health and consumer organisations, of which Eczema Support Australia is a proud member of. This webinar is actually part of our wider eczema education program, and it's funded by the Australian government through the Quality Use of Medicines Initiative, and we're really grateful for their support in helping to continue to provide vital resources for our eczema community. So we have an awful lot to cover tonight. I'm really excited to be able to introduce our panel shortly and dive into the burning questions that you've submitted. But before we jump into it, I'd just quickly like to walk you through a little bit about the flow of the webinar tonight and to get some feedback from those of you who are joining us live. So in a moment, we're going to launch into our Q&A session, and there we're going to be addressing some of the common questions that have been submitted. Now, just to let you know, that we are recording this webinar, and we do have the Q&A feature enabled as well. We're going to try our very best to respond to your questions that you've pre-submitted. We've had an astounding response to this event with nearly 400 registrants. So as you can imagine, if we try to answer every single question, we're going to be here all night. So our focus is going to be addressing the most popular topics with our expert, Dr. Li-Chuen Wong, and we'll also try to answer a few through the Q&A feature if time allows. But if we don't get to your question, don't worry, we're going to follow up with you via email after the webinar. Throughout this session, we're going to be asking for your input with a few really quick polls. And to kick things off, I'd just like to share our first poll question, which is about what is the main topic of your most burning questions about eczema. So I'll just give you all a moment. Everyone's answering so quickly. Well done. You must be all very experienced webinar attendees. Oh, it's shifting around. I don't know if you can see this live, but I can. So it's quite interesting to see this. Yep. All right. I think we've got most of the responses through. So I'm going to, can you see that response yet, or do I need to share that? You can't see it yet? All right. I shall end the poll. And I'm going to share the results straight away because they're very interesting. All right, so can we see that our burning questions here tonight, which is not overly surprising to us because we've had a preview of your questions that you submitted. Eczema management, of course, the majority really here for eczema management. A high proportion here are really interested in the causes of eczema and an impact of diet and, of course, safety of the treatments. And it'd be really interesting to have a look at what the other topics are too as we go. So thank you. All right, stop sharing that. Oh, hang on, I didn't share the results for end poll. Can you all see the results now? Excellent. As you can see, 50% eczema management and the rest shared between. All right. All right, well, thank you very much for those responses to the first poll. And before we do dive in further, I want to be able to gauge your confidence and your understanding at the moment before we get into the details. So straight away, if you just humour me, I would love to launch into the second poll. It's a really quick question. Shouldn't take you long to answer this one. And that is, how confident are you in understanding eczema care at the moment? Okay. All coming in thick and fast. All right. It does seem like we have the right audience here. I'm going to end the poll now in a moment. Give you one more moment. Okay, we ready? And share the results. So we do have the right audience here. We have a small proportion who are very confident, but the majority of you here are either somewhat confident or not very confident, and a few are just not confident at all. So welcome, you've come to the right webinar. All right, thank you. Well, now it is my great pleasure to introduce you to our incredible panel this evening. And I just want to say that each of our panelists here are deeply passionate about supporting the eczema community by really openly sharing their personal experiences. And they're here to offer some real insights into living with eczema that hopefully you'll be able to relate to. And they're going to share a little bit about their challenges and triumphs and also share your questions. Now, we're also fortunate to have with us Dr. Li-Chuen Wong. He's very compassionate and highly knowledgeable dermatologist who specialises in managing eczema for both children and adults. And her expertise is invaluable in helping us answer some of the key questions that you submitted. So I'd like to start by inviting Dr. Wong to introduce herself, followed by each of our lived experience panellists. So over to you, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Melanie, and thank you everyone for attending on a Thursday night, which I'm sure has been crazy with dinner and getting things organised. So very much appreciate your time. I'm a paediatric and adult dermatologist. I work in Sydney. I work at the Children's Hospital at Westmead and also at Sydney Skin. And I really do have a great passion for eczema and for looking after patients with eczema.
Thank you, Li-Chuen. I'm going to head over now to Kim. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm Kim. I've had eczema all my life, so we're into the 58th year of it. It's something you learn to live with, but yeah, it's been a fun ride, put it that way. But I'm looking forward to tonight and, you know, to share my experience with you guys.
Thank you, Kim. Rianka, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, I'm Ria, and I'm one of the young persons here and help with creating Itchy, which is a support space for young people with eczema, and I'm super excited for the webinar tonight.
Thank you, Ria. Jamie, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for having us, Melanie. My name's Jamie. I've had eczema my whole life, pretty much. As Kim said, it's been a long journey, and for us as long-term sufferers, there weren't the answers that are available now. And if it hadn't have been for Eczema Support Australia for me, I was a very disgruntled eczema sufferer. So if you've felt it, had it, done it, I've probably been there with you. So I can feel your pain at some stages. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jamie. And Kobe.
Hi, everyone. I'm a 43-year-old person that has quite severe hand eczema. I also have a little girl that's 2 with eczema. I'm excited for you all, I suppose, is the best way to kick off. You're in such good hands here, and it's so important to access quality information, and I'm thrilled, and I hope you get so much from it.
Thank you so much, Kobe. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank people in the background there, Catherine from Healthcare Consumers Association and Marla from Eczema Support Australia, who are helping us with the admin and making sure this all flows well. So now for the exciting part, let's dive straight into our Q&A session because we've got a lot to get through. And I'm going to hand over back to you already, Kobe, because I'd really love you to kick off with the first question, please.
Hi, everyone. So one of our first common questions was, what is eczema and why does it happen?
Yeah, that's the first question that most patients ask and their families ask Kobe when they come and see me. What is eczema? So it is a chronic genetic condition, and it is part of what we call the atopic triad. So it goes with asthma and hay fever. And so about 30% will go on to get asthma in early childhood to late childhood, and then hay fever or allergic rhinitis a bit later in adolescence. It is also sometimes associated with allergies. It is caused by a group of things. There's just no one cause, and that includes environmental triggers as well as your genetics, as we talked about, and your skin barrier defect, and sometimes as well the microbiome of your skin. So it's a real combination of factors that make you have, as you all know, itchy, scratchy, awfully itchy red skin. And why does it happen? Because of our genes predominantly. You must have that genetic basis to get eczema. And if there's one thing that we are trying to understand and to say is that there is no cure at the moment, but we can certainly clear and control, but hopefully there'll be a cure in my lifetime.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I just ask another question there too, related to that? We often hear about treating the root cause, especially on social media, treating internally the gut, the root cause. What are your thoughts on that, and how do we process that idea?
Because it's a genetic condition, there is no treatment of the root cause, but there's definitely the need to know what triggers your eczema, and also to understand how to prevent those triggers. So it's not so much treating the root cause, but knowing what to avoid in terms of flares. Now, gut microbiome is really interesting because, of course, we know that there's a good relationship, there's a well-known relationship between the skin and your gut health, but that's not the whole answer. And certainly, unfortunately, I see a lot of children, and they are placed on strict elimination diets where they're not getting enough nutrients, and that is just not the way to actually help your eczema.
A question that I've had and many others ask on social media is, again, around diet or formula and baby eczema.
Yeah.
And we've already spoken about like elimination diets.
Yeah.
But, should people, particularly with a young bub perhaps presenting with eczema, be concerned to eliminate dairy straight away or change a baby formula or eliminate, things from their diet if they're breastfeeding, or wheat from the diet? Is there any need to remove anything?
I don't like to remove anything at all unless we get good evidence that actually it is a trigger. So unless that there's a good skin prick test positivity showing a true allergy, then I think that foods shouldn't be avoided in both the bub as well as mum. I mean, I see, as you would, you're so desperate because you don't know how to help your bub. So you're just trying to avoid, wheat or cow's milk protein. And someone tells you in your mother's group that you should avoid gluten. And then that unfortunately makes a mum who's already so tired and stressed and, sleepless, then not have enough nutrients herself. So I say to actually test first, and then with the guidance of an immunologist or a dietitian, then properly do it. Because the other side to that is, if you do so strictly restrict the food of your bub, they are not going to thrive.
Carly from Queensland and many other parents have asked, please allay their fears about the side effects of topical steroids, especially with babies and young infants.
Oh, I really want to allay your fears, Carly. I can't stress enough how safe it is to use steroids on babies, even 2 to 3 days of age, or even like I use topical steroids on day 1 babies, but for different reasons, because generally eczema presents at about 2 to 3 months of age. But there is no side effect with and no problem with using steroids, potent topical steroids, on babies if you use it intensively 3 times a day to any area on the body until it clears, until it goes, and then stop, and then reuse it when it comes back. The only time you're going to run into problems is if you use it long term, like consistently for 12 months, every single day on normal skin, on skin that isn't affected. And that's when you're going to run into problems. Or if it's mixed with moisturizer and the moisturizer is then applied all over to even normal skin. So therefore, you are actually using topical steroid on normal skin when it's not needed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Li-Chuen, and I hope all the parents out there got a lot out of that.
Thanks.
Oh, look, I think that take home for me just then was the normal skin. We don't need to use the topical steroids on the normal skin.
No.
But I'm glad we do, and that would be the key. Yeah.
That's right. And also, Melanie, it's safe and important to use on broken, weepy, bleeding skin. So it's okay to use on open, wounded skin. In fact, topical steroids are antibacterial and will help with not only healing the broken skin, but it can help as well with mild infection.
I think the takeaway for me too, Melanie and everyone else, is that, you know, you can continue to use it until that redness is gone, until the skin is presenting as normal. You don't have to be worried about, you know, 5 days and stopping. It is completely safe to use until that flare-up is controlled and has gone.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have the red skin, if you've got dark skin, or even if the skin doesn't feel right but looks okay, you still keep going?
Yes, if it doesn't feel smooth, it's still rough, it's still itchy, continue to use it until it's absolutely clear and gone. So absolutely safe to do that.
Great, thank you. Kim, believe you had a question there in relation to itch.
Yes, definitely. So we all know how to treat the itch, and what we want to know, is how to treat the itch and how to stop the flares. So my question is, what are the best treatments for eczema?
Okay. So let me start from the beginning in terms of treatment, and that is to be aware of what triggers eczema. And that is, so we know that even when your skin is perfectly clear, you will still flare. And the triggers that occur to everybody, 100% of patients with eczema, is if there's a change of weather. So if it's suddenly hot to then suddenly cold, your eczema will flare. Or if you're sick, any sort of illness, it doesn't have to be like an upper respiratory tract, runny nose, diarrhea, any sort of illness will make you flare. Stress will make you flare. If you're run down, if your immune system's depressed, as well as when you get your vaccinations. So really, in the first 2 years of life, where you get 6 to 12 infections in a year and you're getting vaccinations at 2, 4, 6 and 12 months and 18 months, it's like your eczema is always there. So if you recognize those flares then that will help know that it's not because you're not treating adequately, it's because you're getting triggered. The other things are to avoid, when you're managing eczema, anything rough on your skin. So cut off all the tags of your clothes. No nice smelling perfumed products as well. So even if it's said to be good for eczema, if it's organic, but if it has a fragrance, it's going to particularly irritate the skin. Avoid woolen jumpers, woolen scarves, lambskin, sheepskin underlay, as well as sand, carpet, and grass, because it will irritate the skin. Now, after you've known all these triggers, the key, because remember the skin barrier is defective, that is the primary problem with eczema, is to moisturize. So we have to replenish that skin barrier. We have to give back your skin's protection to allergens, to triggers. So we have to find a moisturizer that is scent-free, that feels good, that your child or you will use. And we've got to tailor it so that if you live in Darwin, you're not going to use a thick, greasy moisturizer. Or if you live in Tasmania, you're not going to use the lightest of lotions. If you have hair, so generally men with hair, they prefer to use lighter lotions because otherwise it gets stuck in their hair. And you've got to always moisturize in the direction of the hair follicle. Don't rub, because you're going to push the moisturizer up the hair follicle and you'll get a pimply rash. So you've got to moisturize. I say 3 times a day, top to toe, face, arms, legs, the whole works, 3 times a day. You've got to have short showers, 3-minute showers, one song, and then you're out, one song on your phone, and then that's it. Soap-free, scent-free washes. And then when you're out, pat dry. And when your skin is still a little damp, that's when you put your moisturizer on. So because it increases the penetration of the moisturizer. Then the key is to use, without fear, topical steroids. And you've got to ask your doctor to give you enough topical steroids because you want to use it generously. You want to use it like you would a moisturizer, just to the affected areas 3 times a day until it clears. So ask your doctor for an authority script where you'll get a lot of tubes at once and lots of repeats. And that is the basis of how we usually treat eczema, and most patients will do well with that regime.
Why does my eczema come back after I stop the topical steroid creams?
Yeah. So you want to use the topical steroid creams until it clears, and then inevitably your eczema will come back. Because remember, this is a genetic condition that will have always the chance to be triggered. So if you are clear, but then you get sick and you're run down and you're not moisturizing, your eczema is going to come back. Or if you're clear and then you go overseas on a wonderful holiday, but you fly a long way, 12-hour flight, low humidity on the plane, your eczema is going to come back. Or you go on a beach holiday and you spend fantastic time in the sand, but it's so rough and it's irritating your skin, it will flare. But you know that those are the triggers, and you then go and use the topical steroid and you go back to your basic regime. Now, sorry, can I just answer one last thing, Kim, that sometimes it continues to flare and then we've got and you're doing all of those things. So you're knowing that you're treating, it as you ordinarily would, and it's still flaring. And then you've got to wonder whether you've got a secondary skin infection. And that might be a bacterial infection, usually staph, or a herpes infection, and it's called eczema herpeticum, or mollusca contagiosa, those pesky ball-like pearly lesions that are just the bane of every mother's life, because these kids get mollusca when they go swimming in a warm heated pool when they're being taught to swim, or what we call eczema coxsackium. So they have eczema and then they have hand, foot and mouth disease, and then they get a secondary rash.
Yeah, so lots to consider there. And I think this particular question has raised a few more questions. And one of the questions that keeps coming up in the Q&A at the moment is how to identify the different triggers. How do you know what it is that's the main cause of the trigger? And that's a question that we see a lot as well on social media. It's it kind of consumes you as a parent or as a person with eczema, as what is the cause of the flare up this time.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because you're just thinking you've got everything under control and then you flare. So all those things that we talked about are the common flares, and usually, you can say I was sick, or I didn't moisturize, or I wore a woolen jumper which I shouldn't have. But sometimes it's especially when you have a little baby and you're just thinking, I just really want to find the root food, the food that is, if I avoid that food, it will cure my baby. And unfortunately, that isn't going to happen. It is hard to find at times the thing that triggers off a flare. Often, many things are in play, so you have lots of triggers at the same time.
Yes, very frustrating, but you know, we get better at managing it, I think.
Yeah.
Ria, I know this was touched on before, but I know you wanted to specifically ask a little bit more about stress and eczema.
Yeah. So my question was, is it just me or does stress trigger eczema flares?
No, it's not just you, Ria. Stress is the pits for anything skin related. Stress will make your cortisol levels go all haywire. And skin is a dysregulation, or skin is always triggered, all skin conditions are triggered by dysregulation of your immune system. So when you're stressed, your immune system is dysregulated, and then that plays out on your skin. So eczema will flare when stressed. Eczema will also, when you're stressed, also remember, it's hard to remember to moisturize, you're not sleeping well, you're systemically run down, and your eczema is going to definitely flare.
Thank you.
And it's a little bit both ways, isn't it? Once you've got that eczema flare, it's causing more stress and psychological
Absolutely.
burden. And I know, Kim, you've kind of had to deal with that in your journey along the way.
Yes, I went through a terrible period. Times that the skin was so bad that I couldn't cope with looking after my two children. I mean, my children now are 33, 35, but during those formative years with them when they were very young, it was very hard and very dark times. And to find the help that I needed was very, very hard. Obviously, back in, you know, the older days, there wasn't the support that there is now. But what support is there now for people like this that, you know, are going through such a hard time? Because those dark days, I'm lucky to be here. I did get through it, but I'm lucky to be here.
It's I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, and thank goodness we're getting more and more aware, and health professionals are getting more and more aware of the incredible impact that eczema has on your psychosocial health, you know. And it's definitely not just skin deep. When people just say, oh, it's a bit of itchy skin and eczema, it couldn't be the furthest from the truth. In fact, we know that eczema causes anxiety, depression, school refusal, ADHD because of an inability to concentrate. You're so itchy. And this statistic actually is frightening for me, that the psychosocial impact of eczema is worse than having type 1 insulin-dependent diabetes. So that's how big this problem is. And isn't it, today is Are You OK Day? And we really have to be aware of how bad eczema can be. And thankfully, we have now mental health care plans. And I would really encourage patients to go and see their GP and get a mental health care plan so that they can access the PBS covered psychology sessions that you're entitled and should get to help with strategies to accept a chronic condition, and for kids to help them come to terms with their skin, and especially around puberty and changes of body image. And also not just the patient, but, you know, if you have a very sick and a kid that needs a lot of attention, siblings will get affected. And so often family therapy or sibling therapy is very important as well. Everybody needs support.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? Eczema Support Australia have a service specifically for that, which I'll show you later, and we're doing more work and research into that next year. But I know that Ria, you also wanted to make a comment or had another question on that topic.
Yeah, just a quick question for any young people listening in. In eczema care, what advice do you have for young people navigating that transition from pediatric to adult care for their eczema?
It's tricky. It's tricky on lots of fronts, Rhea, because sometimes when they are seeing their doctor with their parent, there's a type of care, and they're often seen as a child. But then they go through adolescence, they're clearly not children, and they have to be treated, differently and with respect. But it's hard for the doctor to let go as well, because they, that mindset of you're looking after a little kid and now they're growing up, there's so there's a journey for everybody, and it's important for the adolescent to say what they need, and maybe it's time, if it's not working out, it's absolutely fine to change physicians, and no one's going to, everybody just wants the best for the patient. Important for the family as well to respect that things are changing, and I think that as well, it was so in hospital, for instance, if you see, if you're being treated at the kids' hospital, it's tricky to then be transitioned to the adult hospital, but it has to be done. And you have to find, the bottom line is you've got to find a physician, your doctor, who you connect with.
Okay. All right, great questions. Now, the next question I know is a big one. It's come through a lot.
Yeah.
It's coming through a lot in the chat and the Q&A chat at the moment as well. So I'm going to ask Kim to share this next question.
Yeah, this is a hard question. Topical steroids safe?
Topical steroid withdrawal in particular. Let's just...
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just get the elephant out of the room.
Right.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Okay. So number one, topical steroids are safe. Let's talk about topical withdrawal syndrome, which is getting so much airtime because of social media and TikTok. Now, topical steroid withdrawal is, number one, incredibly rare. It is so rare. It is seen when potent topical steroids, like super strong topical steroids, are used for at least 6 months, every single day or more, on the face, on normal skin, when it's generally not needed. It's usually seen, well, the majority is seen in adults, in females, on the face. So it is often diagnosed when in fact what you're experiencing is eczema that has come back, that actually needs to be treated again with topical steroids. Now, the difference is as well that topical withdrawal syndrome is burning as opposed to itchy. It is completely joined up together. So it's like one whole sheet usually. On the face, they call it headlight face. So it really spares the nose and the eyes. It looks different to eczema. So I feel so sad because I see lots of patients that are so scared of using topical steroids because of this, when it really isn't a possibility if you use steroids on eczema skin until it clears and then stop. And then they get infected, they're so itchy, their life is unbearable, and they could avoid all of that. So if there's one thing, can I just please ask you not to listen to TikTok about this, and to just really trust that you are getting appropriate treatment and you're doing the right thing by using topical steroids on your children and on yourself if you use it in the right way.
Thank you. I think we've all known people who have gone through this journey in one way, shape or another, gone through these concerns, and even myself when my boys are little, everyone's had these concerns. So it's good to get that reassurance Did you want to make any more comments or questions on that, Kim?
My daughter went through topical steroid withdrawal. She just point blank stopped using all topical steroid creams. Yes, she was highly influenced by social media, and it was a horrible time. You tried to explain to her, and I mean, she's 30 years old. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions, but trying to convince her that she was making the wrong decision, and that she needed more help. But it took her to collapse and be raced to hospital to actually work out that, okay, she had a problem and she had to use the topical steroid creams. So she uses them all the time now.
Can I jump in, Melanie, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Sometimes people get very nervous about steroids on the face. Yeah. And perhaps we can clarify that there are particular treatments for different areas of the body that can still be safe.
Yes. So there are, I feel very comfortable with using a steroid called Advantan on the face twice a day until it clears. But if you are needing to use steroids, for example, little babies, when they dribble a lot and you know they're going to be dribbling, full on for the next 2 years until they're about 2 years of age, you can use other agents such as topical steroid sparing agents, we call them, such as tacrolimus, which you use mostly, but then you can still safely dip in and out of using a topical steroid. So yes, definitely there are other options. So don't just accept that having eczema on your face is going to just be the status quo. We can actually make things better.
Good to hear. Jamie, would you like to share a bit and ask some questions? Because you've got a bit of a lifelong experience of this and a world of experience too.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to comment on that last point with topical steroid creams. I think between myself, Kim, and Kobe, to a lesser extent, being the baby of the group, if we can reassure the people watching, we are your data. I've been using the creams for 40-something years, 47 years now, from a baby right through to now, and still continually. So if we can reassure people watching and listening that they are safe, your data's right in front of you. So
thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, but Jamie, what about you've also gone through a stage where you really struggled. And I know I kind of met you at that stage. So we've kind of looked at situations like yours and said, well, what do we do? Where do we turn when nothing seems to be working? What are my next options? And I know that's a question you kind of had at one stage, Jamie, or you actually almost given up. So, Dr. Wong, what do you say to people what do people do when they feel that they're just stuck and their eczema is really too hard to manage?
It's so hard because their journey has been so long and they've struggled for a long time, invariably. And if they have done, all the things that we've just spoken about, then really, I mean, this is the best time in the whole world to be a dermatologist. I love it because we have now got actually medications that can help for the pointy and those very serious and severe eczema patients. And that is, of course, dupilumab or Dupixent, which is an injection that is given every fortnight, and as well a tablet called a JAK inhibitor or Rinvoq, upadacitinib. Now, they're not needed for the majority of patients with eczema, but if you need further treatment, and it is there, and the government is supporting the treatment of really severe patients with these medications, and they are game-changing. They really give back people's lives.
Okay. And it's so important, isn't it, to just find a way to reconnect if you're not already connected with your health professionals. And we have got a tool now, which I'll show you later on, to help you to perhaps ask those difficult questions, or even know what questions to ask in the first place to reconnect and get yourself on the right path.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that, Jamie, or should we move to the next questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that with all the information that we have now, the future for sufferers is much more brighter with the options that we have, and there is treatment. And don't give up. I had given up, as you know, and it was only through my partner Lynn reaching out to you and me dropping my guard and trusting in the trusted information that's out there and reaching out for that help. Was I able to get to a point where I'm undermanaged or managing my my routines and my care? So yeah, always reach out and try something different. Try, as Dr. Li-Chuen said, if you're not happy with a physician, try another one. There's so many other options out there.
Yep.
Don't give up.
That's right.
Now, speaking of all the options out there, sometimes we get a little bit inundated. And I know, Kobe, you had some questions about sources of information and advice and medical advice. Would you like to share those questions?
Sure. Look, we've touched on some of these already, but, you know, like, I get it. I've been an adult sufferer for a long time, like Jamie and Kim, and, you know, as I'm also a mother of an infant with eczema. So I get everyone's stress, and you're looking for a quick fix. You go down those rabbit holes, you know, late at night on the internet or on social media because you're desperate. No one wants to see their child uncomfortable or themselves. So, you know, you hear so much, or you see advertisements for, you know, cure your eczema without steroids, or, you know, buying an online sensitivity test that's going to tell you your exact triggers and you're going to, you know, have a smooth day from those results onwards, or, you know, fixing your gut health. Are these things all okay to try?
They're okay to try, but they're not particularly helpful, and they cost so much money, and there's no evidence. So there's so much. I mean, you're so desperate. You just want to buy anything. So, you know, you'll buy whatever is on your Facebook feed, and I want people not to try, though, anything that has a fragrance, that is expensive, that is supposed to be the miracle cure, because there is no miracle cure. So if they're saying that, then they're wasting your time and your money. And I bet you've got a full pharmacy situation happening in your bathroom with so much that you've tried. So please don't waste. If it's a lot of money, don't buy it, because it's unlikely to be helpful. What else is there? Oh, those online sensitivity tests. I find them tricky because they are unsupervised. We don't know whether, you know, how accurate they are, and you need as well interpretation. And some of them also have testing for intolerances, but intolerances can only be detected through really a food diary. So if you have any, and you know what, every day there's a new thing coming about. So you really don't know, you know, it's hard to keep up. What I would suggest is actually reaching out to Eczema Support Australia, where you know that the information is true, factual, up to date. And if you worry about something that's come up or you want to try it, it'd be good to reach out and ask the question. And I'm sure, you know, a trusted association like this would be able to give you the answer.
You've pretty well said it then anyway, but with so much online information, especially in social media, you know, which information do we listen to? And you've pretty well answered that with, you know, going back to your medical professional or accessing resources like Eczema Support Australia, where you know that the fact sheets are grounded in research, you know.
Yeah. See, that's the problem, isn't it, Kobe? Like, because you're so desperate and everybody gives you an opinion, like, don't use that. And, oh, my sister-in-law used that and it helped. And you try everything. So in the end, it's just overwhelming and you don't do anything at all. Just perhaps if there's anyone there who's just really given up, just give us one more chance and go and get the information from Eczema Support Australia, because it is true, it's factual.
I find that really resonates with me, where you see people scared of trying different things. I think, eczema is still, I think, building a profile, and being taken serious. And I think, with things like asthma, you go and you get the treatments and you don't question it, or things like, if a child's anaphylactic, if they, you don't have a child with asthma and think, oh, we're going to stop eating cheese for 3 weeks and see, I do want people, to understand that eczema can be painful, can be uncomfortable, that lack of sleep, don't put up with it. You've got, real life sufferers here in front of you. There are answers,
Yes.
There is an end of the tunnel. And I'm a bit like Jamie and Kim as well, where I've had my moments even as an adult where, I've picked up the phone and called Melanie and said, Melanie, is there anything in cutting out gluten? I still get desperate and I'm in my 40s and I know an awful lot about eczema, but just know there is help there, treat it serious, go and talk to your medical professionals, jump on the Eczema Support Australia website and know that treatments are safe, don't be scared.
All right. Sounds like you're doing my job there, Kobe, with wrapping up, because she's just saying everything perfectly. Thank you so much. And on that note, it's such a great segue, because I do want to share a little bit more with you about where to find these resources. I know we've got an awful lot of questions. I'm seeing them coming through thick and fast, and thank you to the 400 registrants who are so engaged and ready to listen in this topic, and we will try to get to those. But perhaps what I can do now is, first of all, I just want to, again, thank the panellists here. Thank you so much to Dr. Li-Chuen Wong, everyone attending tonight. Before I just give you a little bit more detail about things that are coming in the resources, just a quick whip around to maybe Jamie, Kim and Ria again, if there's anything that kind of rang through in this Q&A session, any take homes that you're going to take tonight, anything new or any highlights for you? Jamie?
For me, the takeaway was the reminder of the stress. We often treat the skin and deal with that. And I know myself, for many years traveling for work, I would still take a bed sheet to a hotel because they were white sheets, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. So the stress can be, especially when you've got kids you're treating as well. So I'd say just keep in mind stress for yourself and whoever you're treating, as also treatment to be mindful. And one last thing, Dr. Li-Chuen's one song shower, not happy. It's the only place I can sing well.
You can listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, have a longer shower sometimes.
Deal.
Ria or Kim? Yep, Ria.
Oh, sorry. I think what I've mainly taken away from today is just, the really sense of hope that Eczema Support Australia brings. As a young person, we're already overloaded with a lot of things like uni and studying, and it's not really cool to look after your eczema and do all these, things that are quite boring, like all these non-fragrance moisturizers and having to moisturize all the time. But I think it's just, really remind us to, go back to the basics of eczema care management and always listen to trusted professionals, and that really helps you feel a lot more calm, and that will help your eczema feel a lot better as well.
Brilliant advice. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say, just to reassure everyone out there that I've gone through doctor after doctor after doctor. Obviously, I've had it for a long time, but to find the trusted doctor is key. Someone that can resonate with and give you empathy of, how you are feeling. that really helps. It helps your state of mind as well. And then also there'll be lots of things that will work, won't work, but try and stay positive. There is something out there, and obviously now we've got lots of a lot more support than what I had in the day of going to the library trying to find something in a book. But Eczema Support Australia, yep, it's awesome, the information, but the doctors now know so much more. As Dr. Wong said, it's they know a lot more. There's a lot more things. It's a lot better these days. So there is hope, guys. Don't think you're all alone, okay?
Terrific. Thank you. Well, on that note, I'm just sharing with you a little bit of where to find some more information through Eczema Support Australia. You can visit the website. Hopefully you can all see that on screen at the moment. And if you go to the menu bar where it says resources, we're building more and more resources at the moment through the Quality Use of Medicines Alliance, as well as our existing resources there. There is a number of fact sheets to look at for those parents, the babies and children with eczema. There's a new fact sheet there to look at. But also on this website, you'll see a link down the bottom left-hand corner or up here under toolkits for Eczema Care Online. That's going to answer a lot more of those questions you had, particularly around, I know a lot of questions came around about which moisturisers and what order and all those questions that you can't just take in one session or one visit to the doctor. You can go back and look through these resources to reinforce that information. Also really important to look at is the eczema care plan, so we can all get on the same page with our treating health professionals. There's an eczema care plan now that can be used for your GP, your dermatologist, your immunologist if you have one, and your pharmacist and your nurses, so that you can be on the same page. So I really encourage you to go in there, download the eczema care plan, have a look through the website of anything else that you're looking for. There's more psychological support services that are coming through. A big program next year, but we're going to be launching more about that soon. But yeah, just have a good look around the website. But I wanted to share something else with you this evening while I've got your undivided attention. We're really excited to be about to launch Eczema Unfiltered video series, which happens to be the theme of this year's World Atopic Eczema Day, which happens to be this Saturday. So we've got Are You OK Day today, World Atopic Eczema Day on Saturday, and our Eczema Unfiltered is premiering tonight. And these panellists and a few others you'll be able to see on that. And I'm going to show you a quick preview trailer of that now. And hopefully this all works well. Click the optimize video click for 1 minute and let's go.
Does eczema hurt?
Yes.
Where does it hurt?
Eczema stings.
As a parent, it hurts to watch your child in so much pain.
The eczema does affect every part of your life.
Eczema certainly comes with financial pain.
It's actually chosen careers for me.
Flare control creams are safe.
It's helped me, so why not use it?
I use them whenever my skin is flaring up so I can bring the flaring down.
There's so much information out there and I don't know what's right and what's wrong, what I should follow and what I shouldn't.
Everybody thinks they know what it is and that they can fix it. If I had $1 for every root cause that they were looking for, I'd be a rich man.
You are more than eczema. That's absolutely true.
True.
Definitely more than eczema.
Definitely true.
If you've got a problem with the way I look, it's your problem, it's not mine.
You are more than eczema. You control eczema.
Okay. So I'm very excited to be sharing that. So you can jump onto the website and see all the videos relating to that, including a really personal life story journey from Kim and her daughter April, as well as those interviews that we had with Rhea, Jamie, Kobe, Adriana, her little boy Ori, and her husband Matt, and my son Harry is on there too. So please go and have a look through those. And I'd really encourage you to share that video series with your networks, maybe on World Atopic Eczema Day or indeed any day of the year, and help spread that awareness, that education around eczema. And don't forget, later this year too, we're going to be holding another webinar. We've got more resources coming out through the Quality Use of Medicines Alliance. So please stay connected with us for future events and resources. But before you go, because I know it's getting late, we've covered an awful lot, but I just wanted to share one more poll just to see how you're tracking now at the end of this webinar, to see how you're feeling about everything. So one more question for you, please. At this stage now, how confident are you feeling compared to you were at the beginning of understanding eczema care, and particularly where to find the support and the information? Everyone's furiously answering there. Oh, this is looking really, really encouraging. Wow. Wow, just give a few more moments for people to have their vote. A lot of people online. Goodness me. Brilliant. While you're just answering that, yeah, I just want to thank you all again for being here and for sharing your questions. I'm going to end that poll now because I think I need to share this result with you all. I think if you remembered at the beginning when we asked this question, most were in the somewhat or not very confident side of things, and there's been quite a big shift. So that's really encouraging. We don't expect you all to absorb everything in 1 hour. So please do go talk to your health professionals, go back onto the website, and don't give up, because as the panelists have said, there's plenty of hope there. Did I share that poll result? Did you see? Oh, good, because that was amazing. That was fantastic. I'm just going to have another quick look through the Q&A, but as I'm doing that, any other last closing comments from panelists or Dr. Li-Chuen Wong?
I was just going to ask and to jump in, the care plan that Melanie's talked about on the website, My Daughter's Childcare Loves. So if you've got little ones, schools, childcares, it's got great information on there for people to help understand that as well. I just wanted to ask a question. With the warmer weather coming now, and we're back in sort of short sleeves and things like that, how sunscreen can fit in with moisturiser, whether moisturiser might come first, or does it impact upon how effective sunscreen can be, or what might be best zinc-based products or things like that?
I always suggest using sunscreen as the last step. So keep it right, at the door, and you're just putting on top of your moisturizer, on top of your topical steroid. And you want to try and find, again, sunscreen consistencies that fit with the skin and the temperature. So, in Darwin, lighter gels or lotions. When I say that, gels can sometimes sting eczema skin, and always choose products that are light and I quite like, I won't give names of products, but not the thick occlusive ones, because in the hotter weather, particularly for kids, they just feel that that's quite irritating for their skin. So light lotions, milks are the best.
Excellent. I think we could ask questions all night long, but I'm amazed we've managed to finish relatively on time this evening. And so I want to, again, thank everybody so much. We are going to have a look through that Q&A and the questions and try and follow up. But if you don't hear specifically about your question, or you can't find the information online, contact us directly. We're here to help and support. Lovely. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope you sleep well despite the itches or the itches of your little ones.